What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Episode Auction Podcast. I'm Ryan Miner, and I'm here to talk to you about fantasy football auction keeper leagues. Now, the question you might be asking yourself right now off the bat is, what is a keeper league? A keeper league is a type of league that bridges the gap between dynasty and redraft. Now, a lot of people don't want to do dynasty because dynasties, you're on it all year long. It's something you got to constantly maintain. Or redraft, you kind of come in late summer and you're prepared for your draft. When it comes to keeper leagues, the only difference is you only get to keep a few set of players. It could be 2, could be 4, could be 6, while the rest of the players are thrown back in the player pool. Now, this format's a little tougher because it's hard to judge average auction values and stuff like that based on what your league's keepers are, because everyone's going to keep a certain amount of state keepers. So the cost is actually going to start going up on certain players. So what you think could be cheaper for that certain player or that said player probably really won't be outside of the first season. So if you're thinking of starting one now or doing one right now or preparing for one right now, you're in the right spot, because I will give you the idea of what to do for the first one, because this first one, you're just going to treat it like a normal auction league. Don't think too hard into it. Think like, I have to get this guy cheap, or I have to get this cheap guy. It's not going to be about that. It's all about being a smart drafter still and having fun at the draft. All right. So to plan it, understand your league settings. The league settings, you guys will come up with your, and as managers, your commissioner will have an idea and say, we're going to have X amount of keepers, and then understand what the cost of those keepers are each year. And when I say by cost of each keeper each year, whatever player you bid on and won during your draft that you're doing, let's say, you'll get George Kittle for $16 right now. Do you really want to keep him next year? That next year cost could be, $5, could be $10. There's always an additional fee to these keepers, so that way you always have a constant influx of players coming in and out of the pool, because if not, then you have teams that start building dynasties basically in a way where they just keep winning year after year after year because they have such a stack of keepers that it kind of makes the league go stale. So you don't want to make the league go stale. You kind of want to make it where it kind of has a rotation of players going in and out to keep it interesting. So understand those keepers, understand the cost, and then know when your keeper deadline is too. Now, a lot of times the keeper deadline could be the day before the draft. It could be a week before the draft. It could be right up to your draft where you walk in because you don't want anyone to know who your keepers are, and you put them on your sticker board if you're doing a live draft, or you just post them online like 2 minutes right before they're due. And then understand another setting too, and this is a setting I highly recommend to anyone. It's like if you guys want to have, like, you want to dabble in Dynasty but you don't want to do it, try a rookie draft with just, your league. Just do one round. Let's say, it's 10. If you guys have 10 teams, just do 1 through 10 or 12, and you got 1 through 12. It doesn't matter. Put everyone's names in a hat, and they draw, a rookie. And what you can do is say, we can make these rookies X dollars right off the bat. So say you want to make it super cheap, make it somewhere where it's worth, the fun of having. Say you can make $5 out of a $200 league for the rookie. So you're telling me I can get Ashton Genty for $5 right off the bat? Sign me up. O'Marion Hampton, Ted McMillan, someone like those guys. Starting your team off good, like that can, and it will also help you build. So it's a nice perk to have, and I highly recommend that if you're going to be doing any auction keeper leagues. Fun aspect to that. So you're getting ready for your draft, but have fun and draft like a normal draft would. Like, you're going to draft with keepers in mind. We all are, and you're not going to be the only one at that table. Like, everyone's going to try to see they can find that bargain deal, and those bargain deals aren't going to come till later. You're not going to be able to get a Jahmyr Gibbs cheap or Dave Montgomery super cheap. Some players like that. You'll be finding like these rookies who come out of nowhere that most people think of, or second, third year wide receivers who haven't done anything until now pop. Like, you could have like a Puka Nacua come out, or like, last year we had Juwan Jennings who stepped up with the all the injuries on the 49ers. So you got to kind of look at that. So it's kind of a fun aspect to look at too. And understand too, like when you have these keepers in mind, their long-term value. Like if they're getting old and they're aging up there, it gets kind of rough. So I prefer to always like have the younger guys, which most of my teams, I mean, no one's like every team the league I'm in that has keepers. No one's keeping Derrick Henry because he just costs too much. Because, like I said, with the influx of money going in to keep these players, you kind of push them out. So you really don't get them for as long as you think. Maybe you might get 4 years out of them. Like last year, I had to throw back Saquon Barkley in my league. I had him since his rookie season. I couldn't afford to keep him as one of my keepers because I had CeeDee Lamb already. And the league was switched from the half point PPR to PPR. I made a bad choice. And that's going to happen as I learn from my mistakes. But also, don't be overdrafting rookies. Draft those veterans, get those better players, get those better guys that we know who could produce fantasy points. Just because they were big in college doesn't mean it's always going to translate. So when it comes to your draft's done, you're getting prepared for week 1, the season's going on, you have your in-season management. This is where it's going to be you're going to be the most proactive on the waiver wire. And I mean the most proactive. Like you want to be looking at stats, from Thursday night's games, from Sunday night's games, from Monday night's game, just getting prepared for that Tuesday waiver wire rush as you go put in your claims, and then Wednesday to see if you actually got your player. And then also, pay attention to the news. There's going to be a lot of news and players that, someone could go down. Sometimes, if your waiver wires are wide open, you're able to go add that player right away because you're the first one to read all the news right off the bat, which most of us are able to do that. And then you look at it too as, don't be afraid to make trades. And also, like another thing I like to say is when you do these trades, don't be thinking for oh man, about next year. Like what if you're a team that's in the playoffs, play to win. Don't play to crash. But if you're a team that's out of the playoffs, one thing I always like to say, we do, like I said earlier, rookie picks, is we're able to trade for future rookie picks. So I can trade for future rookie pick, which only is up to the following year. So if after my draft, we all have a rookie pre-rookie mock, we kind of just draw a card and go from there. And if you want to know how I'm about to do that, hit me up at Ryman_FFB on X or email me at absoluteauctionpodcast@gmail.com. I'll just tell you more about it there. It's so much easier to explain it that way instead of trying to confuse you as you try to prepare more for your auction keeper leagues. But you make these trades, and these trades will actually help you a lot more. So let's say you're getting prepared for your upcoming draft. You already had your draft from last season. You're looking at your keepers. How do you evaluate your keepers? Now, the best way I say is to evaluate the keepers is through the AAV, which you can find on Faceoff Sports Network, at fffaceoff.com, where Adam's been updating it constantly with 1QB and Superflex players. And you kind of look at and compare it to that, or whatever site you like to use. But if you want true data, this is the way to go. You can look at all the other websites, and most of them just have like a logistic based on ADP to kind of make the two go together. Where Adam and I, we don't do that. We try to get real data out to you as best as we can. So like a good example would be like, who's a good rookie from last year? Actually, I don't even say a good rookie. We'll just say a good player from last year. Actually, a couple years ago, we'll go with Kyron Williams. Remember when Kyron Williams exploded on the scene? So let's say you got him off the waiver wire. You know what that new value is, whatever the cost was, for the waiver wire players. If he's coming in an extreme value, let's say, with the keeper value of $5, you get to keep him for $5. His average auction value right now is $40. You're telling me you can get a player for $35 cheaper than anyone else? That's a keeper right there. You want to keep that player. Same with any other player like that. Like if you can compare the two values together, those are going to be some players you want to keep. Like last year, I kept I had picked up Juwan Jennings. Am I going to keep him this year? Still questionable on it. But I picked up Bo Nix, off the waiver wire, and there's still a chance that I might be able to keep him, even though it's a one quarterback league. But get a quarterback for dirt cheap, it's not a bad start to your fantasy football auction draft. And then also trying to understand of what everyone else is keeping. Like if everyone posts their keepers and you're allowed to see their keepers, it kind of makes it easy to understand how the draft is going to go. If everyone's keeping a lot of running backs, that means whatever few running backs are out there are going to go for top dollar. Same could be said for wide receiver. These wide receivers are going to be few far between, but depending on how your settings are set. So you could have a hard time trying to build a really good team. So that's why I always say, be sure to be on the waiver wire during the season. And then as the season comes to an end, you've done your first league. Be sure to you're going to continuously be learning from these experiences. Like I've been doing auction leagues for many years. I've been doing keeper leagues for, let's say, about 15, 17, 18 years now, and I still make mistakes. I throw the wrong players back sometimes, thinking, oh yeah, he's QB 15, 16. I'm talking about Patrick Mahomes before he became Patrick Mahomes. But also learn from the good things. Learn from the good keepers that you kept. Saquon Barkley, he's helped me get a championship. But like I said about the failures, throwing Patrick Mahomes, just learn from these success and failures. That's going to be the best thing to do. And then also, as you always hear me say on every show, develop a strategy to help you build a winning team. Look at your team of what keepers you have, kind of see what everyone else has, and build a par sheet off those. I mean, it's going to be kind of hard to say, like, okay, I can get a player for a set price, but understand that if you're going to have to spend up on a running back, how much is that running back are you going to be willing to spend? And let's say if you're wanting to go, if it's a $52 running back and you're able to go 70, 80 because it's going to be, that's what's going to be with it because the keepers, then put down 85, 90, kind of go a little bit higher and try to then adjust from there. That's why I always say, like, so running back, wide receiver, whatever position it is that is very slim pickings is definitely one I kind of want to build my par sheet around to kind of understand that, do I want to go this way or go that way? And then, like I said, build two. Have one high running back, have one high wide receiver, and see how it goes from there. Well, that's going to do it for today. Like I said, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me on X at Ramon_FFB, or if you want to know any more else about keeper leagues, feel free to email us at absoluteauctionpodcast@gmail.com. We'll catch you guys soon.